The stars hung low over Quivianan, like scattered pearls on an endless black sea. Their light spilled across the waters, giving the lake an otherworldly glow. I sat at the edge of the shore, my knees tucked under my chin, watching the waves ripple softly against the stones. This place, this starlit sanctuary, had been our home since the beginning of memory. It was the cradle of my people, the Avari, and the only world I had ever known. For as long as I could remember, Quevionin had been safe. Its beauty, unspoiled by the passing of time, felt eternal. Here the stars watched over us, guiding and protecting, their light steady and unwavering. The waters of the lake mirrored the heavens so perfectly that at times it seemed as though we walked among the stars themselves. But tonight the stillness felt too perfect, like a taut string waiting to snap. I closed my eyes and let the night sounds fill me. The rhythmic lapping of the lake, the faint rustling of the leaves in the forest behind me, and the distant call of night birds. The air smelled of moss and pine, fresh and alive, carrying with it the subtle, almost imperceptible hum of Quavianan itself. The stars, the lake, the forest, they were all part of the same song, a silent melody that resonated deep in my bones. But tonight, there was something off-key in the harmony. A strange unease settled over me, as if the stars were whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear. I glanced up at them, searching for answers, but they only flickered back, impassive and eternal. Alatari, the voice broke my thoughts like a stone hitting water. I turned to see Turner bounding toward me, his lean frame silhouetted against the trees. His hair, dark and wild, bounced with every step, and his eyes sparkled with mischief, or perhaps urgency. With Turner, it was often hard to tell the difference. "You're supposed to be helping with the nets," he chided as he skidded to a stop beside me, kicking up a spray of pebbles. "I was thinking," I replied, brushing the dust off my tunic, "and I'm not exactly needed. There are more than enough hands for fishing." "Thinking," he repeated, dropping down beside me with a dramatic sigh. "You think too much. One day your thoughts are going to take you so far away from Quivian, and you'll forget to come back." "I doubt that," I said, though his words unsettled me. The idea of leaving Quivianan was unthinkable. It was our home, our refuge, the place where the stars had first opened their eyes to us. The thought of abandoning it felt like tearing out a piece of my soul. Turner leaned back on his elbows, his gaze fixed on the sky. "Well, while you were here thinking, I was out in the woods. You'll never guess what I found." "A reason to stay out of trouble?" "Close tracks." "Tracks?" I repeated, straightening. "Of what?" "I don't know," he admitted, his voice dropping a notch. "But they were huge, bigger than any deer or boar I've ever seen. And strange." "Strange how?" He hesitated, his usual bravado dimming. The prints weren't natural. It was as if whatever made them didn't belong here. A chill ran through me. Turner had a knack for exaggeration, but there was something in his tone that told me he was serious. "Where did you find them?" "Near the western edge of the forest, close to the cliffs," he said. "I was going to tell the elders, but I thought you should see them first." I hesitated. The forest was vast and deep, and while it had always been our ally, it was not without its mysteries. Yet the unease I'd felt earlier returned, stronger now, a sense that something unseen was watching, waiting. Let's go, I said, rising to my feet. Turner grinned, his confidence restored. I knew you'd say that. We moved quickly through the trees, the soft needles muffling our steps. The forest seemed darker than usual, the shadows deeper and more restless. The stars, usually visible through the canopy, were obscured by an uneasy haze, their light barely reaching the ground. The air felt colder here, sharper, as if the forest itself held its breath. I tightened my grip on the knife at my belt, my pulse quickening. Turner was uncharacteristically quiet as we walked, his usual stream of chatter replaced by an alert, almost tense silence. It was unnerving, but I didn't say anything. If Turner was serious, then I needed to be as well. When we reached the western edge, the forest gave way to a rocky outcrop overlooking a steep ravine. Turner stopped and pointed to the ground near the cliff's edge. There. I crouched down, examining the impressions in the dirt. They were massive, at least twice the size of any hoofprint I'd ever seen, and oddly shaped, elongated and sharp, like claws had raked the earth. The soil around the prints was disturbed, as if whatever had passed through had been dragging something heavy behind it. These aren't natural, I said, voicing what we both already knew. Nothing in Quivionin leaves tracks like this. And look, Turner added, motioning to a nearby tree. Its bark was stripped away in jagged gashes, the wood beneath splintered and raw. Whatever it wasn't just passing through, it was angry. A shiver ran down my spine. I looked out over the ravine where the forest stretched into the unknown. The wind howled through the chasm, carrying with it a faint, distant sound that I couldn't quite place. It was low and guttural, like the growl of a beast, but far too deep to be anything I'd ever encountered. "What do you think it was?" Turner asked, his voice quiet. "I don't know," I said, standing, "but we need to tell the elders." Turner nodded, his earlier bravado gone. "Yeah, let's go." The return journey felt longer than the trek out, the forest's shadows pressing closer with every step. The haze in the sky thickened, muting the stars until only the faintest glimmers remained. By the time we reached the village, the air was thick with tension. The council fire burned brightly in the center of the clearing, its flames licking the night sky. The elders were already gathered, their expressions somber, as if they too had felt the shift in the air. Vernier, my father, stood among them, his silver hair catching the firelight. His gaze met mine as Turner and I approached, and his face hardened with concern. "Alatari," he said, stepping forward. "What is it?" I recounted what we had seen, describing the tracks and the claw marks in as much detail as I could. The elders listened in silence, their faces grave. When I finished, Vernier turned to the others. "These signs confirm what we have long suspected," he said, his voice steady but grim. "The world is changing. The shadows that have lingered on the edges of our land are growing bolder." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. One of the elders, an older elf named Illyrian, stepped forward. "What do you propose we do, Vernier? We are a small people. If the darkness comes for us, how can we hope to stand against it?" "We do what we have always done," Vernier replied. "We stand together, we remain vigilant. Quavianen is our home, and we will not abandon it." His words resonated with me, but I couldn't shake the unease that clung to me like a second skin. The tracks we had seen were unlike anything I had ever encountered, and the growl that had echoed through the ravine still lingered in my mind. After the council dispersed, I lingered by the fire, staring into the flames. Turner sat beside me, his usual energy subdued. The silence between us was heavy, filled with unspoken questions neither of us knew how to answer. "Do you think they're right?" he asked finally. "That we can stay here and be safe?" I didn't answer immediately. My gaze drifted upward to the stars flickering above the treetops. For as long as we had lived in Quivionen, they had been our guides, constant and unchanging. But tonight they seemed distant, their light dimmed, as if they too were uncertain. "I don't know," I admitted, "but I don't think we can ignore what's happening. Something is coming, Turner, something we're not ready for." He nodded, his expression unusually serious. "Then we'll just have to get ready." I smiled faintly at his determination, but my unease remained. The stars were singing, their silent melody carrying a warning. The question was whether we would listen, or whether we would be too late.